Alright, well, back in Monster Hunter World. And we're going to be hunting our... Actually, one of the last monsters that's going to be a reworked version of another monster. That being Yian Garuga, which you can probably tell from the title. Yeah, so this one required a lot of preparation, so I ended up having to raise the level of the forest region of the Guiding Lands, which also this is our first quest in the Guiding Lands, so if you haven't seen them and you don't want to be spoiled for you, I guess don't watch, but other than that, okay, whatever. So I ended up just killing a bunch of easy monsters, 2 Toby Kadachi, an Anjanath, and a Great Jagras, because you can do it by simply mining the special resource nodes, that being those bone piles and what are the other ones? The mining outcrops, yeah, but oh yeah, here I actually forgot my items, so and you'll notice I actually forgot to bring herbal medicines, so you'll see what I end up doing, having to do about that later on. But as I wander around in search of where Yian Garuga is, which, spoiler alert, takes a little time. So, yeah, I had to raise the forest up to level 3 in order to try and find him. Well, in order to get his assignment quest from, I believe it's the field team leader who gives you the quest. And once you actually do it, you can get, you can start to send tail raider safaris out to the Guiding Lands, which is a really nice perk. Allows you to get some parts from monsters you otherwise wouldn't be able to. So, there you go. The other thing, so we're back in our... Well, the Shara Ishvalda armor isn't new. What is new is my new insect glaive, the Hydros Arcana, which you can see me using right now. I have it on my back right now. That I had to farm. I actually only had to run 1 Namiel in order to get that, because that's a Namiel weapon, as yeah, you could probably tell because it's just how it's designed. Yeah, so I'm actually going to talk about the Guiding Lands a little bit. I thought, when I initially saw that they were a thing, mostly by looking at the wiki, I thought what they were was sort of a region that was sort of made up of a mishmash of regions that existed. So like my thought process was they took zones from an existing world regions like the Wildfire Race and Action Forest and whatnot, and they sort of mashed them together and sort of create one region. But no, it turns out that it's actually made up of 6 unique regions from the terrain and sort of the style is kind of the same, but like the actual zones themselves are completely different, which I really do like. I like that they definitely try to put a lot of effort into this area, so you know, technically you get some brand new areas in the game, which I think I really like that. I actually really enjoy wandering around. It's a bit confusing in terms of the layout, but it's a pretty cool place. I really like it. Spend a lot of time here, mostly just kind of maxing out getting all the new resources just because I wanted them, and there's a cutscene coming up now, so I'm gonna shut up and let you enjoy that. Yeah, so sorry about that. The sound was a bit off there and a bunch of lag, but what can you do? Alright, here we are, Yian Garuga. Crazy looking bat sort of dude. He's not quite sure where I am yet, but he'll figure out in a minute. Quite yell on him. Other than that, so we talk about breaking parts first, just because what I'm thinking about at the moment. So he's got 2 on his head, that being his head and his ears can also be broken separately from his head. The other 2 are his back. Well, those are his back. Then each wing can be broken independently. Then finally his tail can be severed. So he's actually got quite a few breakable parts. So what I did was I actually brought 2 destroyer jewels just to try and make it a bit easier. And I would add, if you want to try to get all his part breaks, which in run 1, which I do, I definitely recommend grabbing a couple of those to try and help you out. Especially because his wings are resistant. You see, they're even reflecting my insect light, despite the fact of it being in white sharpness level. So just be aware of that. So what I usually do to try and counter that is simply use aerial, because aerial attacks can't be reflected, which is why I would actually really like this insect blade. Which is why the insect blade was actually a really good choice here, because I can just do a bunch of damage to his wings without really having to worry about the sort of stagger animation that comes out when you your attack gets bounced. So that's his ears broken right there. So I'm trying to get in here. Whacking his wings a bunch. Alright. Just trying to find a good angle to wail on him is a bit difficult there. That sort of jumping thing right there is actually not him preparing to do any attack. It's actually him enraging. So while he does have a couple of new attacks, a lot of his attack animations are actually taken from Rathian and Legiana, if you can believe it. He's got like one very specific Legiana attack. Yeah, that one right there. That's straight. They took that animation straight from Legiana. That one is new, and his like beak slam that you saw earlier is new. But if you can beat Rathian or Legiana fairly easily, then this guy should not really be much of a problem. Because a lot of his attacks are taken pretty much directly from them. So I suppose he's sort of like what happened if you took Kulu Yaku, Rathian, and Legiana and mashed them into a single monster. This guy is about what you would get. So you didn't have a problem with any of those, and realistically with at least 2 of them you probably shouldn't by now. Then yeah, this guy is kind of a he's, I'd say, probably more annoying than Zinogre, but not as technically difficult. Because Zinogre's got a lot more difficult attacks to try and deal with. But this guy's just, I don't hate him by any means, but he has some tendencies to he can get you. Yeah, then Banboro comes running in on like, well, he actually becomes quite a problem over the next few minutes. So I'm like, alright, buddy, get out of here. I don't want you here. Ooh, material. Yeah, I'm a bit of an ooh shiny player, so I have to grab all the material. So his main weapon is, his main range attack is those fireballs, but if you notice his tail, he's got a few poison spines on them, which is why one of that little medicine, you know, I don't want to be poisoned all the time. Fortunately, he doesn't actually get me to it until I can beat an area where I can deal with it, where basically there's some antidote plants in the area. He gets me with the poison tail that I just use to get it off, so it's not too big of a deal, but it's generally not a good idea to go into a monster using poison without any ways to get rid of that poison, so sounds obvious, but don't just try and tank through it. I've tried to do that in the past with other monsters, and Banboro's here, and so I end up hitting Yian Garuga instead. I'm like, alright. Great, well at least he's leaving, so... And then Banboro leaves the exact same time. And... I'm like 90% sure they end up going... For first, I think they're going for a different area. And it actually turns out, I think they actually do go for a different area. Nope, they don't, actually. They go to the exact same area. Fortunately, I'm able to dun-pod him. And then Yian Garuga leaves again. And fortunately, he does actually go to a different area this time, so... we end up going on a bit of a hike to try and find another area to fight him in. And this is actually, up here, is actually his nest area. So this is where he'll go to sleep, and sleeps kind of in an amusing way, which I'll point out later. But he's up here right now, and so we're just gonna... And yeah, you see those antidote herbs right there, which is what I end up using to try and heal from his poison tail, which, spoiler alert, he does get me with that a couple times. I'm trying to grab the buffs on him. The red and the white one are pretty easy to get, but, well, as long as he's not moving his head, pretty easy to get, so... I was actually trying to go for a collectible counter there, but he enraged, so... I don't actually think I've actually figured it out yet. So, probably now I have. Start wailing on him. We get some beak slam. Like, alright, gotta heal. And then he gets me with the poison tail. That attack of his right there, where he flies forward and swipes his tail at you, is going to be really annoying. Because it's not very well telegraphed. It looks like he's just trying to move forward. And then it turns out, no, he's actually not. So, I've been gotten by that attack a couple times. Fortunately, that's the only attack of his that I actually dislike. All the other ones are mostly fine. I don't... Yeah, I think I'm gonna start focusing... I end up start focusing back and wings. And probably his tail as well, because... like Rathian, if you can get his tail off, he loses a lot of his attack power because he loses the poison that he affects, and also it lessens his tailspin, which he did a couple of tailspins. Well, his tailspin, I'm calling it his Legiana tail slash, and also the tail flip. He actually has Rathian's tail flip as well, which I've probably seen before. I don't get it off quite yet. I actually don't know if it's a different location, but... yeah, so, moral of the story, focus the tail. And then he immediately gets me again. So that's fun. His Diabom's not such a problem. You can basically avoid it just by walking away. It will do a lot of damage if it hits, but... I mean, if you don't get hit by it, no problem. So, yeah. Pro tip, don't get hit by the Diabomb. Another thing, when he does his beak slam, it actually hits twice. So be aware of that. And also his scream. So he's actually quite known for his scream. He can actually start to move before you come out of being stunned by the scream. So just be aware of that. So I don't know if you want to bring an earplug mule, because I've never really been horrendously set back by it. So yeah, definitely clutch plug out of here. Spoiler alert, doesn't work. He just runs off a different direction. It might be worth bringing a... what is it called? Yeah, he can get his head stuck like that sometimes, so it gives you an opportunity to wail on him a bit. Tail, because I want it gone. There he is, pumping himself up to rage again. He jumps around when he does beak slam, which can be really deceptive, so whenever he starts doing it, just keep moving. So that's, I believe that's one of something broken. I think that might be his head, and that's his right wing. Again, his wings break independently. I thought they didn't for whatever reason for a while, but they actually don't. There we go. Yeah, he's got a couple of... He's got a late beak slam as well, and that one, see, because he moved really suddenly there. He actually gonna just get me. He's quite a mobile monster. He definitely moves around a lot more than, I'd say, a lot of other monsters. So yeah, he's got a charge there. He's also got Rathian's triple fireball, so sometimes he'll do a single fireball, sometimes he'll do a triple. So we're just going after the tail. He ends up flying away. He ends up actually going down through into the area. There's an area right below this, but you can climb down through that sort of vine mesh. I don't know what I call it the vine mesh. Of course, he just... We'll see what happens when I get down here. He just immediately flies right back up to where we were. That's another thing I really hate about some of these vine areas, is that the monsters will sometimes just fly right up to back where they were and just don't come down for whatever reason. So I'm like, alright, well, I have the Vitality Mental, I can just tank for one of those attacks. So eventually I end up going... I'm just deciding to climb back up. And here we go. Back to where we once were. I don't know why I didn't get hit by that scream there. I don't think Vitality Mental protects from screams. So yeah, I think you'll see me... Yeah, his back's broken. It didn't actually break his wing. Or did I? I can't really tell from this one. Yep. That's his tail off. Actually, no, I did break his wing. I broke his back as well. You can see sort of scars on it right there. What isn't broken is that right wing. I'm going to get it... I think I actually get it on this knockdown. Fairly certain. I don't precisely remember, but I'm like 90% sure this is where I get his second wing. So... Once that's broken, that's be all his parts. And I actually, at this point, I could remember which parts were breakable on him, so I end up thinking that his feet are breakable. They're not, as it turns out. But yeah, there's his wing broken. So that's all of his parts broken, and then he gets stuck in the vine mesh, so I just need to wail on him, even though I don't have my buffs up. Because I need damage. I guess I figured at this point that it wasn't worth just, yeah, he's pumping himself up again. He mad now. And other than that, especially once you get his tail off and his head broken, he's not particularly much more challenging than like a slightly buffed Rathian. Also, another thing that really helps, if he screams while you're in the air, it feels like it doesn't stun you for as long. Yeah, he actually did good there. I think I actually decided to grab the giant Vigor Wasp here just for the memes. Yeah, so. Good thing about this area is that there's that giant Vigor Wasp there that you can use to heal up if you really desperately need it. So we're gonna pound his head for a bit, and then start wailing on him some more. At this point, I'm just looking for just safe and solid damage, because like that. Yeah. Also, even when his tail is severed, that tail flip still does a lot of damage. So just be wary. He's a pretty high damage monster, I'd say, and he's also got some solid elemental moves. So well, he's not like insanely difficult. He's definitely got some moves and some things to watch out for when you fight him. Just because of how he plays. Also, yeah, he almost kills me right there because he manages to land. So you see that? Actually, that what's it called? The beak dive doesn't deal as much damage as I thought it might, but still does a lot. I don't know why I didn't go for the clutch one. I guess I figured there was no point because he wasn't aimed at that tree right there. So yeah, he's gonna go for the tail flip on either my Palico or my other dude. So I think at some point I figure out that the feet aren't actually breakable, and I just decided to go for body parts instead. Dodge around each other for a bit. Yeah, that's his triple fireball. The singular fireball, well, it only goes in one direction, but it actually explodes in a much larger radius. Yeah, he enrages fairly easily, I think. He's gonna take off here. I think he's doing this because if you get a monster into limping state while they're in their nest area, they'll usually try and go through a different area first and then either head back or they'll either immediately head back or they'll stay there. You can fight them just a little bit, and then they'll immediately come right back to where they were, which is that being their nest area. And the reason you can't see the skull icon, or at least you won't be able to in this run, is because I believe you have to have monsters at research level 2 in order to actually get the skull icon to pop up on the map. So you're just going to use the wedge beetle here. Wedge beetles are so much fun. Yeah, Banboro is actually in this area, but I figure he's not actually anywhere near us, so it's like, alright, whatever. This is a cool move. I get it right here. There's going to be an even cooler one in a second. Yeah, this one I figure the tails aren't breakable at all, so he ends up going down another level. Alright, let's do this. Pow! Right in the head. And that's a really cool move. I love how I got that. So, yeah, at this point, I'm trying to figure out where he's... Fighting in cliff areas is always really hard because the monster can just sort of flip up and down the cliff and they're not really sure where they want to go. It can be really annoying to try and get them to stay in one spot so you can actually have a good fight with them. Which is why I try and avoid it wherever possible. At this point, however, he goes into limping state. So he's actually going to head back to that area we were just in, and then we can sleep bomb him. And we can also see him sleeping in his really weird state. That's what he does. This one I'm actually just waiting for him to try and get a little bit away from the area I'm currently in, because I don't want to have him get angry at me while I'm trying to get to... while he's trying to go to sleep. So again, I need him to go to sleep before he... Yeah, I actually think he's stopped up here, but he turns out he's not. He was just making a weird transition to another area. So we're gonna... I think we take the vine swing. Yeah, we take the vine swing. This is also a really fun thing to do. Just swing along the vines. Although I end up dropping early because I see him start flying down. So he's just gonna crawl over to his nest while the fight music's still playing. I don't know why, but so then he goes to sleep. And it looks really weird. So you'll see him. We're just gonna place down our barrel bombs. So, yeah, he sleeps sort of like crouched like that. I don't know why, but anyway, I put some barrel bombs right in his vulnerable spots. So we're gonna wait for our Palico to put down his little bombs, and then we'll put on the Vitality Mantle, and then we'll explode him up. Yeah, I'm trying to get the clutch counter up, but he enrages almost immediately, and he does some sort of weird curved run. I'm not sure what that was. It looked pretty weird. Yeah, so he's gone a little crazy at the moment, so I'm just trying to grab that last buff on his head, and actually that little his beak dive is actually a pretty good place to try and grab it because of his head's like all nice and still, and head into the ground. So he actually, I think he dies fairly soon after this. Because, yeah, he dies pretty soon. Because I've actually got my blast bug, my Kin's decked out, doing a bunch of blast damage to him, and those hit pretty hard. So, yeah, that's what we're always... That's why I'm really looking forward to it. So there's actually a rarity 12 Kinsect that I haven't unlocked yet, and I'm really looking forward to that because it's going to be cool. But either way, current one's still good, and there he is. He's dead. Yian Garuga is slain. So, overall, not bad. Like, he's easier than Zinogre, and much easier than Rajang. Like, I did not have nearly as much trouble with him. I didn't have to heal nearly as much. Probably because he's a lot smaller, and he doesn't have, like, really crazy attacks like, what's his name, Rajang does. And he doesn't have really... And if you're at range, he doesn't have nearly as many ways to rapidly close that distance and, like, do, like, a massive charge halfway across the zone. So you can really... You're pretty safe at range, you just have to look out for his fireballs. And other than that... Because a lot of his... The big thing is because a lot of his attacks are very similar to both Rathian, Legiana, and sort of Gulyaku. You coming in with actually a lot of knowledge as to how he's going to fight you, which makes like all the difference because you'll learn him very quickly, and once you sort of figure him out like that, he becomes fairly trivial like fairly quickly. So not bad at all. Don't hate him by any means. But that's probably going to do it for this video. Next up, probably Brute Tigrex, just because he's probably going to be the easiest one next, but, you know, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.